Hey bro, we just finished the 7-day training with my client in Miami and I'm about to do a debrief. This is going to go through our progress in the week and some critical aspects of the training. So, if you're struggling right now with code approaching, then these tips are going to help you a lot. Yeah, that was a great week, man. Started off, you were obviously a little bit rusty because you hadn't been approaching for a while. And our goal initially was just to get you comfortable with the approach itself, right? Nothing more, because as you know, desensitization is one of the most important things when it comes to approaching, right? It's kind of like public speaking. If you're uncomfortable talking in front of hundreds of people, well, you're not going to be able to perform at your best, right? Even, if you, watch a video about top 10 tips about how to do public speaking or whatever, right? If you're uncomfortable in front of that crowd, you won't be able to be at your best. And with code approaching is exactly the same thing. When you're in front of that beautiful girl, you could know exactly what to do. Like you could even know, I gotta do a traction, I gotta do a tease, I gotta do a challenge. But if you're uncomfortable in that situation, you're not going to be able to do it. Right. So first we worked on that, and then I think that took about 20 approaches or so, just before you did that Venezuelan one. I remember that one, the one on the bridge. And she was a stunner, man, that Venezuelan one.
Yeah, I remember. Yeah.
Yeah, you remember, right?
Yeah, it's pretty hot.
Yeah, so that was I think it took about 20 approaches. Now, it just depends how long you've been out of the game for. For some people watching, they might be out of the game for, a really long time. So it might take them a few days to get back into it, right? But for you, it took you just a couple hours. And that's the crucial thing, right? In the beginning, you just want to focus on just getting back into it, right? I mean, I said this to you as well. It's like if you haven't been gym for 6 months, right? And you were bench pressing 250 pounds, when you go back, you're not going to be able to do the same thing, right? You got to drop it to whatever, like 100 pounds to get back into it. Right? So when it comes to game, it's exactly the same thing. You need to go to the basics, do easy approaches, right? So we did a lot of directions, a lot of easy approaches, and that got you back in it. Then the next thing we worked on was the assumptions, the code reads, right? How to keep the conversation going, because there was a lot of interaction where the girl was into it, but then we kind of run out of things to say, right?
Yeah.
So I mean, this is a very common sticking point. Most guys have this, is like, oh, what do I say next, right? So that's what we worked on, and now you know what code reads to do, right? You got the nationality, also in obviously in the US, the different states. Right, in Europe we use different countries. I mean, here there's a lot of South American, so countries still work best. But when you go back home, I guess using different states or Canada, you could use Canada as well. Yeah, so that was that. One of the code reads. The second code reads is the occupation, like, oh, you look like you do something creative, or you look like you're a waitress, like I did with the Romanians, where they got they got like a little well, I mean the hot one loved it, but the other one got a little bit offended. Yeah, so that's the occupation, and with the occupation, it's better to go with creative kind of jobs, like, oh, you do fashion. I'm guessing you do art. I think you said that to one of the girls. You went, oh, you look like you do art.
Yeah, art.
Yeah.
One of my favorites.
Yeah. So you could do that, but you can tease them with the occupation as well, like I did. you know, oh, you look like a waitress, or like I was telling you about in Dubai, where we were saying you look like a maid. Right, so you could joke around with that as well. And then the third code read is the hobbies, right? So you could do the hobbies. Best ones with that is yoga, gym. Right, gym is great because you're giving her a compliment that's a man to woman as well. You could be like, oh, you have a really nice physique, let me guess you hit the gym. Right, so it's got a little bit of a sexual aspect to it as well. So she knows, oh, this is not a friend-to-friend conversation. This is, you know, a man-to-woman type of conversation. Especially if you get that good eye contact, like that sexual eye contact as well. So anyway, that's the three things that you could do whenever the conversation dies down or when you don't know what to say next, right? And then the other thing we talked about is conversational threading, right? So for example, if she goes, I'm from Colombia, you've got to talk about Colombia, right? And one of the best ways to say that is say, oh, I've never been to Colombia, if you haven't, but my friend was there and he said, you know, during the day it's kind of nice and, you know, it's a beautiful country, or you might want to say a specific city, like, oh, it's a beautiful city, you know, in Medellin, but when the sun goes down, the girls go crazy, they go, you know, guy hunting, like they try to seduce all the guys. Right, something like that.
Yeah.
Like they go crazy, you know, they get drunk, like what you were saying.
Yeah.
They love their drinks. So you could use that. Or if you know something about the country, then say that. Right?
Yeah.
Like you tried Cuban food the other day. If you meet a girl from Cuba, well, you could say that. Right? You could be like, oh yeah, you guys have great food. Like I tried it the other day. You know, you just put a story together, basically.
Yeah.
So storytelling is really good when they give you a topic. Yeah, and then the other thing we worked on was the indirect openers, right? Because initially you were going in direct and you were saying direct openers like, oh, you're beautiful, and things like that, which is cool. Like that's, you know, obviously she's gonna love it and she's gonna take the validation, right? She's not gonna be like, oh no, like, you know, I don't want to have a conversation with you, but you're not going to be at the same level as she is, right? You know what I was saying to you is like, oh, imagine if you know, some guy comes up to you, you're a celebrity, and he's like, oh, can I get your autograph? Right? He's kind of like your fan. You're not probably going to take him out for a drink, right? But if another celebrity came to you and, you know, and he was in the same value as you and just had a normal conversation, right, you're more likely to go have a drink with him. Right? So for women, it's the same. Like when she's very attractive, if you come in as like, oh, I'm a fan, you're beautiful, like kind of thing like that, yes, it might work, right? I'm not gonna sit here and be like, oh no, that would never work, right? But the chances of it working is just not as good as if you go in with an opener that shows her you're at her level, right? You're not like this guy who's looking at her like, you know, from below, like she's kind of on a pedestal. Do you know what I mean? So that's why we started working on a little bit more indirect, or what we call semi-direct. So it's not like indirect where it's like, where's the toilet? It's not like, oh my god, you're the prettiest girl I've ever seen in my life. Right? So like, it's like kind of in the middle somewhere. So so we worked on that a lot, and that was, you know, openers like, oh, you've got the best walk I've seen today, right? You've got the happiest vibe I've seen today. You've got the best vibe I've seen today. Oh, best style. Yeah. That's the go-to one, the best style.
Yeah.
What we notice is even if they don't have a good style, like they just come out of the gym, it still works. Like I've never used it and it's just not worked. The worst thing that can happen, the girl goes, oh really? Like, you know, this is just my casual outfit. Right? That's the worst thing that can happen. So that's really crucial, is to, you know, go in with an opener that is at her level, right?
Okay.
Well, by that, what I mean is you know, you're at her level.
I'm at her level.
You're at her level, yeah. So it's not, you know, like these guys where they're like, oh, I'm a fan, like on Instagram. Oh, you're so beautiful, you know, right? Because they get that. If she's hot, like the girls we've seen in Miami, like they're all stunning. Like they're just gonna get guys commenting on Instagram left and right. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, so what's important is the fact that you did the approach, right? Not what happened in the approach.
Yeah.
And when you leave the interaction, if it doesn't go well, you still have to smile, right? And understand that how many guys would ever do an approach like that, right? You know, we've been walking around Miami for 7 days now. We only saw a few approaches,
Yeah.
right? But we saw so many guys just checking out girls, right? And just, you know, wanting to do the approach, but they can't do it, right? So that's the thing. When you do the approach, that in itself is just put you in the 0.01% of guys out there, right? So when you come out, you have to, you know, have this smile on your face, have this cheeky grin, and know you're the shit, right?
Yeah.
And what's that's gonna do is, in your next approach, you're gonna get this momentum, right? With each approach, you're gonna increase your momentum.
No.
So that's really crucial to be doing. And then the next thing we worked on was attraction, right? So we said you've got the yes girls, you got the maybe girls, and you got the no girls, right?
Yeah.
The yes girls, they're going to be into you, so all you got to do is just stick in there and just have a conversation with them, right?
Yeah. Right.
Just don't leave. Then the maybe, that's where the game is played, right? And that's where really attraction will come in.
Yeah.
And we talked about, you know, some methods to build attraction, like teasing, challenging, banter, cocky, funny, like, oh, what do you do? I'm an Uber driver, right?
Yeah.
That really worked well with the Moroccan and the Brazilian. Do you remember? And what's funny is they wouldn't believe us.
No.
when we said
like,
it.
No.
They were like, "No, you guys are not." I was like, "Yeah, we do Uber looks."
Uber convention.
Yeah.
You're like, all right.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that's funny.
So yeah, you cocky funny is great. You know, making jokes, that kind of thing for attraction, because attraction is an emotional experience, right? That's why logic just doesn't work in attraction. You know, and research has proven this. When you make a girl laugh, there's certain hormones that are produced in her body, which get her attracted to you, right? She feels good around you. So that's why it's important to make her laugh. Yeah, and then one thing about the intro, just the first 5 seconds of the approach, was that you want to have body language that you would have with your best friend. Imagine you're approaching your best friend, right? You have to assume familiarity. This is crucial because when you do that, people warm up to you instantly, right? If you have, you know, a body language of you're just approaching a stranger and you're just kind of like, you know, closed off, well, they're going to be closed off as well, right? So we talked about, you know, getting a bit closer, good eye contact, right? Good smile, and then slow it down, really slow it down, right? Throw in pauses, speak louder, right? Speak louder and throw in pauses so that it comes across as charismatic and also spontaneous. If you just say it quickly, like, excuse me, I just saw you over there and I had to say you got a really nice style, let me guess, right? It's like, oh, it's you know, he's been saying it to like hundreds of girls, which is true, but but we want it to come across as spontaneous, right? So if you go, excuse me, pause, hi, look into your eyes, pause. I just had to say, you know, I saw you over there. Well, I guess you wouldn't say I just had to say I saw you over there, but you would say I just saw you over there, and I had to say you've got the best walk I've seen today. Let me guess, Venezuela.
Right.
With that big booty. Those big booty Venezuelan girls, man. Yeah, so that's crucial for the intro, and then good energy, right? But obviously the energy will come with approaches as well. So the more approaches you do, the more you're going to increase your energy and get that enthusiasm that's, you know, a magnet